Hello and welcome, I am Raziel, and I tell you what, 2024 is, like I've said, for the most part, been a really good year for wargaming. And one of the best things it's been for wargaming in particular, as a whole, is that it's going to be good for new players and people just getting into the hobby. And when I say the hobby, I always mean wargaming in general, not just one company. It's like the whole thing, that's what I'm talking about. And yes, it's going to be good for everyone as a whole, especially new players. See, here's the thing. In the next 12, I think it's 14 months, 12 to 14 months, I'm not 100% sure when Warpass dropping properly. It's just finished its Kickstarter, but it's going to be coming out early next year. But we're going to include it in the next 12 months sort of thing. So there is that one. But first we have Mantic have released a brand new starter set for Firefight, which is great, with brand new models for the Astarians, and Night Stalkers are coming out. It's going to be all basically plastic, which is great, because actually Mantic's plastic's not too bad. I'm quite happy with it. The model isn't always as good as for Games Workshop, but that's kind of what you're paying for. It sounds weird, because quality and price do go hand in hand, and the value of the box for Firefight is going to strip the value of any box from Games Workshop, being, almost half the price and getting so much more. And it's got Astarians, which I'm super excited about. They're my favourite faction in Firefight. I love their lore. I think it's fantastic. Basically, it's robots being remotely controlled by the Astarians. They have some really cool ships, some really cool models, and they have lots of different alien variations as well. So kind of like a Tau Aldar thing going on there. And then you've got the Night Stalkers, which is basically Chaos on steroids. Yeah. Whereas Chaos is demons on steroids, Night Stalkers are Chaos on steroids. It's like the worst of the worst, and they are absolutely vicious and nasty. Kind of excited to see how that lore goes in as well, because they have interesting lore in Kings of War. And with that, you can actually use those models if you put them on a movement tray in Kings of War as well. So you can have a very decent start in Night Stalker army for both Kings of War and Firefight at the same time. And if you get the Ice and Shadow box for Kings of War, you have basically a decent Night Stalker army from the get-go, and you don't have to buy anything else. So that's Firefight, which I'm excited about. I have a pre-order in mind. I'm excited to get it, and it's going to be really cool. Then we have Age of Sigmar, Skaven Tide. Now, my biggest beef with this is, same I've said with Live 5 and Dominion, Domitus, all of those boxes. I've said exactly the same thing, and I'll say the same thing here, because having your starter box, your starter set, as a limited edition box is never a good thing. It's horrid. These are the boxes that are going to get people into the game, and having a set number, people aren't going to get into the game. And it's kind of just has this sort of gatekeeping way of keeping people out of the hobby, because they're going to have to wait even longer for the next box, which will be those 3 different size boxes which have a certain amount of models in it, but certain models won't be in it because you had to buy this box first, and you have to buy this rule book, the big thick rule book, separately. So to me, having these limited edition boxes for your starter set is always a turn off for me, because it doesn't seem to be right to have the box to get people into the game, sort of stocked out because they weren't there first. These boxes should always be available throughout, no matter what. Do a limited edition box, don't get me wrong, but do a normal box too. Just don't do your first starter box as a limited edition box. Then, it's Stormcast versus Skaven Tide. I've said about Mantic and Warcradle and Warlord Games, who all do this. They have different factions for each starter set, so you're not stuck with the same army. But of course, with Age of Sigmar, it's Stormcast Eternals, rather than having anyone else. But you do got Skaven, and I do like the Skaven. I like them. It's one of the reasons I kind of wanted to get the other. I might be getting 2 Firefight starter sets, because I really want the Vermin in the second box. They look cool. The Forge Fathers, not so much, but the Vermin, yeah, they look great. So anyway, I do like Skaven. I've liked them for years and years and years. I love all their codices and, army books and their battle tomes, and I have no issues. The box looks good, don't get me wrong, but having it stuck as a limited edition box is kind of the biggest issue here. It should have been a general release and have a limited edition box as well, rather than just a limited edition box. But, anyone who's starting into wargaming wants to play Age of Sigmar, they're going to be on the same level as most people who already play it. I'll get to that in a minute. Then you have Mantic Games with Armored Clash. It's something I've been excited about since it was first revealed. I've been super happy about this one. This is the one that's made me really happy because it's War Cradle releasing a new game for the dystopian age, and we're gonna get more lore on the Ore Wars, which it really does excite me because that's kind of a big thing in the dystopian age. It's one of the major battles. Unfortunately, it's not mentioned that much. We get glimpses of it. We know things that helped it end, such as I said before, Odysseus Grant destroying a quarter of Richmond helped to end it in America. But having it out on a global scale is really cool. And it's going to be the Crown versus the Empire. Both factions I really love. I love the Empire. They have a great fleet for dystopian wars, with dragons and flying cities and squid, and then you've got samurai cats and samurai for Wild West Exodus. So it'll be interesting to see what they bring to the table for Armored Clash. And I like the Crown again for Wild West Exodus. They have a really good posse for them, which is the Wrath of the Nautilus. Absolutely fantastic. You also have you get a nice dreadnought for them, sort of thing, called the Drum of the Nautilus. It's quite cool. So yeah, I like both these factions, and it's not just because I'm British. For the Crown, but yeah, I think they look cool, and I'm excited to see how they play out on the Armored Clash battlefield, which is an epic scale game. Then you've got Warlord Games and a new edition of Bolt Action. Now, I'm getting Bolt Action next month. I'm getting into Bolt Action next month. I'm going to buy a starter set. I'm going to read the rules, play it through, and see what it's like. So, add it to my sort of resume of games I'm going to talk about. Really expand my knowledge on the wargaming scene. And yeah, I know that I'm getting into it 3 months before a new edition, and the reason I'm doing this is so I can get it built and painted ready for 3rd edition, rather than having to wait till 3rd edition, then have the extra time to build and paint them, then play a game. So basically, 3rd edition drops, I'll have an army ready. I'm probably going to do the Brits. Stuck with the Desert Rats, stuck between them and the Yanks, not quite sure which way I'll go yet, but either way I'm going to have a lot of Germans. Because the 2 boxes I want both have Germans in them. It's like the Brits and the Yanks. Again, I would say that, like I said, with Age of Sigmar, always having Stormcast Eternal, 2 starter sets having Germans in, but there is 3 starter sets, and there's 1 without Germans. Which is cool, which is Japanese and Yanks. So, well, you don't get every faction with these starter sets. That's not a bad thing. You do have variation. You've got Britain, Yanks, Americans, I should stop insulting them, British, Americans, Japanese and Germans. So you've got 4 factions you get to choose from with this starter sets, which is cool. I have no problems with that. You have variation. Would be nice to see some Russians in there as well, but Warlord Games is a smaller company. Anyway. And finally got Warpath coming out in the new year, well, early next year, which is again from Mantic, which is an epic scale game again. And so this is what's really exciting about this year. Excluding the new Firefight set from Mantic, because that's not a new edition, it's just a new starter set, because Mantic do lots of starter sets for their games, which is absolutely great. You have lots of choice and variation on which army you want to play as. Whereas Age of Sigmar, Armored Clash, Bolt Action and Warpath, anyone who's getting into wargaming at present, brand new into the hobby this year, are going to be getting in at a very close level to the greybeards, the older players like myself. I've been playing war games for 30 years now, so yeah, while I'm pretty good at adapting to rules quickly, I will still need to read new rules. See? Whereas, if someone's a new player, they're not going to be able to adapt to rules as quickly as I can, but we will still be learning the brand new rules as well. Well, except for Bolt Action, where I will be going into that practically blind, and I have no problems with that at all. But, Armored Clash, I know how most of War Cradle's games work. Same with Mantic and Age of Sigmar. I know how the rules of games of these companies work, so I can kind of get in quite well, whereas Warlord Games brand new to me. But if you're a new player, you're doing the same thing as the Greybeards. You're going into these games, these new editions, with, open eyes. You have no clue. Well, Greybeards will have a bit of a clue, but like I said, it's going to be the similarity into starting. So everyone's starting afresh in 2024, and everyone's going to get into these hobbies great. So new players are going to almost get into the game almost at a veteran level at the same game, because everyone's learning the rules again. And I think that's one of the best things. One of the things about new editions is how it sort of levels the playing field for all players. Yeah, people are going to be better than others. It's just the way it is. Greybeards are going to adapt quicker, going to know them quicker, and work out strategies quicker. That's just the way it is. But when it comes to reading and knowing the rules, we're going to be on the same level as the new players, which is absolutely great. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this very much interesting ramble about new games and new additions and new players into 2024. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're willing to get and you want to get into wargaming, there is Whaling Games down below, which says up to 20% on war games and free delivery after £20. It's well worth getting. If you want to get anything that's not Games Workshop, go there. They have plenty of Mantic, plenty of War Cradle, plenty of Warlord games. Absolutely everything's there. It's absolutely fantastic. Then you have Forbidden Planet for comics, DVDs, mangas, t-shirts, all that cool film and game merchandise, as well as comics as well. There is my merchandise, as always, which is t-shirts, cups, stickers, everything everyone else does. I do the same because, reasons. There is also my comics there down below as well. If you want to see Little Red Riding go ham on some Lovecraftian cyborg werewolves, there's that one. Or there's the horror anthology, which I do need to follow up on, but I've been busy. Cool. Work's been hectic since I did that one. And there is Skyforge. You never forget Skyforge. He's a good friend of mine. Please click on him and just give him a bit of love. And finally, there is Patreon because business. Bye-bye.